Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy New Day.
Happy New Day. July, a new topic. So, freedom. It's July.
Yeah.
Freedom.
So we're going to talk about freedom this month.
Yeah, but a different kind of freedom. An internal freedom. A freedom that is not quite as much fireworks and a little more internal.
Yeah, so this month we're going to look at letting go of certain things, freeing up space internally, whether it's, and maybe it's externally a little bit too. Maybe it's decluttering a closet. Maybe it's letting go of a belief that no longer serves you. So we're going to give some questions and insight into how to figure that out.
Yeah. So, freedom isn't the absence of responsibility, right? We're not saying, oh, well, just head off into the wilderness and be free. That's not what we're talking about. So what's a better definition of freedom?
Freedom is about the presence of choice. It's about choosing and perhaps letting go of certain things and choosing to follow your truth.
Yeah, so Henry David Thoreau, the famous writer from way back, said, I've made myself wealthy by limiting my wants. And freedom, or the enemy of freedom is wanting. And another way of thinking about it is freedom. The absence of freedom is when you're doing one thing and you wish you were doing another, which is a way of talking about mindfulness, right? Because if you're mindful, you're simply doing what you're doing. And as an example, if you have to get your taxes done, well, you just have to sit down and do it. And wishing you were doing something else isn't helping you. You simply have to be present with the unpleasant task you're doing. And that is a kind of freedom.
Yeah, or maybe you're like me and your to-do list is a mile long, or it's Sunday night and you're thinking about Monday morning and all the things you have to do in the morning. And you have to kind of take inventory. Okay, what can I let go of for tomorrow, or how can I help prepare? Maybe like I did, we came into the office about an hour and a half earlier than we normally do, just so we could get kind of organized for the day, ready, still do our lives. So that's why we're in here in my office instead of at home on our beautiful balcony.
Yep.
So yeah, sometimes it's about letting go of some things so you can make room for those other things.
Yeah, and I think, who is it? Stephen Covey. Of course, every time I go on live, I get a frog in my throat. Excuse me. Stephen Covey talks about important versus urgent. And we're all urgency addicts, right? So if you make a grid with important and not important and urgent and not urgent, and you start thinking about what's in the, and we think, oh, well, maybe we're supposed to only do important and urgent stuff. Well, that's breathing and eating. That takes care of itself. Where we really need to look at is what are we doing that's urgent but not important? Death scrolling, social media, lots of stuff we do, generally speaking, for a couple of hours a day that isn't really productive in any way. And it's not really relaxing either. It's completely mindless. And it's giving us all these little dopamine hits that keep us sucked in, but it's not helping us at all. So thinking about what's important but not urgent that I should be doing, right? So take all the stuff that's not important but feels urgent and just move it into not urgent but important. So what kind of things would that be? Well, it's things like mindful eating, or a mindful walk, or taking a vacation, or recharging your batteries in some real way, not little mini dopamine hits.
Yeah, and real ways that work for you. So think about, what helps you to release? What things help you feel lighter? Those are the activities that you want to engage in. And, kind of do an inventory check. Okay, where am I feeling tension right now? Because sometimes we get all wound up and then we don't realize, like he says, sometimes your shoulders are up to here.
Yeah. You start with the neck, and by the end of the day, you don't have a neck anymore.
So it's like thinking, okay, where am I holding my tension right now? What areas of my body feel tight or constricted? And then again, tying those activities to helping you release. And maybe it's like, okay, Elizabeth, take some deep breaths, and with each breath, just let your shoulders drop a little bit more. And kind of just feel the pops of tension just release out of your shoulders. Exercises like that, these little moments of kind of releasing, becoming unconstricted, then you're making room. You get a sense of freedom because you're making room for things. Like me coming in to work an hour and a half early today. There was a sense of freedom after I'd been here for 30 minutes because I was like, okay,
I'm ready.
I got those things done before the chaos started, and I feel lighter.
Yeah. And for me, we didn't get up quite as early as we meant to this morning, and so there was a little bit of rushing, and we've got a bunch of dogs that need to be dealt with, and I had them outside. A deep breath and recognizing the world is a pretty amazingly beautiful place if you allow it to be, right? Life can be very painful, but the place we live can be very, very beautiful. And just allowing a moment to recognize that can be freeing.
Yeah, and I love that you said life can be very painful, because it can be.
Yeah.
We see things every day or hear about things every day that are just heart-wrenching. But if we can just be present in the moment and let some of that beauty in, like whether it's the sunshine on your face or the singing of the birds, it does open you up and give you a little sense of freedom. Good morning, Joanne.
Good morning.
We think we, have control, and we have no control.
Yeah.
We have control over our actions, our thoughts, our responses, but we have no control over things that come at us. So we really have to be present with those, and they change. They change when you're present with them.
And I would argue we only have control over our thoughts and actions if we mindfully create that control.
If you're on autopilot, you're not controlling your thoughts and your actions.
Yeah. So this idea of freedom that we're suggesting is a little different. It really has to do, mindfulness creates freedom. And it's not, this idea of mindfulness, everybody thinks that that's meditation, but meditation is practice for mindfulness. Mindfulness is actually bringing it into your waking day and trying to be present with exactly what you're doing. And if you're trying to be present with exactly what you're doing, it's amazing how you feel less distracted, less pulled, less frazzled, less freaked out, less all of those kinds of things. And so
I should grab this. I have to grab something to show you guys what I have in my window
in your window that the sun is shining through at the moment.
So I have this right next to my screens. Breathe. I made this many years ago, and it just reminds me to take a moment to breathe, to release whatever I'm carrying, and make room for something wonderful. And it really does. Like, breathing to me is magical. Like, it resets me, and I can tell when I'm starting to get revved up. It's like, okay, take a deep breath, Elizabeth. It's going to be okay.
And as I've said many times, breath is the place where the conscious and the unconscious become visible to us. Because most of the autonomic things that we do in a day, like our heart beating and our endocrine system working and our digestive system working, we don't really have a lot of control over that. But breath, You don't have to have control over it. You can just breathe, but your autonomic nervous system takes over and you're going, like just tighten your chest and everything. But if you take conscious control for a second and take a nice big breath, it just relaxes your chest. So breath is really the place where we can take conscious control of our subconscious or autonomic system. And I think that's a beautiful way to think about it. Just that beautiful breath to just let it in and let it out.
That's my little micro practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a breath. Yeah. Little micro practice. One breath. Just one. I don't have time. Well, you're going to breathe anyway. Why not make it a mindful breath?
So yeah, one thing this week. Think about something that lights you up.
Just trying to open this.
Think of something that helps you to make room for the wonderful things. Whether it's a deep breath, maybe it's outside, maybe it's spending time with someone. But if we can just take in these little moments and create space, that freedom, that space to let in the good things.
Yeah, or a physical thing. Maybe you want to declutter one corner, right? Maybe you want to create a space for peace and for freedom. Maybe it's a closet, maybe it's a corner in your bedroom. Maybe
it's your house.
Maybe it's your whole house. But
I'm the type if I have a lot of stuff everywhere, I just can't do it.
And yet we have a lot of stuff everywhere.
My Zen
Especially
teacher.
because I've been described as an icebreaker, just leaving a wake of destruction in my path. I'm not probably the most organized guy, nor am I the most tidy. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that make Elizabeth a little bit crazy.
Well, they're great teachers.
Yeah.
Like, relationships can be your best.
And that's an important message, really, to emphasize for a second. The things that you're struggling with, those are your teachers. And those are your greatest opportunities. It sounds insane. I get that it sounds insane. But it's really true.
Yeah. But yeah.
So clean a space, clean your mind.
Find one area, wherever it is this week. Just one thing. Make room.
And think about that grid of important versus urgent, and start thinking about that idea of urgency versus important, and how can I let go? We are all urgency addicts. That's what we are. We're urgency addicts. It's been hardwired, programmed into us since the dawn of creation, because that's how you survive. But most of us don't live in places where saber-toothed tigers are going to jump out in front of us and eat us. So that urgency is of less service than it once was. And so how can we let go of that urgency and now start to bring our minds, our Stone Age minds, into the modern present and focus instead on important? All right. Anything else?
No.
All righty.
Let us know. Let us know the one thing that you're going to do to create space this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a reminder, every month we have a theme. This theme is freedom, and we're going to address it from different aspects every week. So this was physical. And we're going to address different aspects as we go through the month. Alrighty, have a great day. Thanks for showing up. And those that couldn't be live, thanks for coming in later. And we always go through the comments and try to respond. So have a great day.